seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Hello everyone and welcome to another night of the Dota 2 Canada Cup. We're casting Group D once again as we've got a tiebreaker to settle. We've got Shazam, Slayer of Gods, which were also known as Arctic earlier on in the tournament, and Not Today. Two of those three teams will advance. The other one, they're going home. We already said goodbye to Boreal Esports from Group D. They unfortunately finished last place. They're gone. And we ended up with this situation where we've got a three-way tie for first place. So only the top two can advance. So we're going to find out who that's going to be tonight, or at least hopefully after our 3 games are done. We do have a little bit of changes. 686B, I believe it's called, has been released. Haven't really been any balance changes that I can... that I'm aware of. I haven't really gotten the chance to read through all of it. It came out last night, but there was a little bit of balance changes, a slight nerf to the arcane rune.
10 seconds remaining.
Beyond that, I don't think there's anything too
5
significant that we've really seen a lot of recently. There was we're seeing one of the heroes getting picked here, Pudge. His hook, the damage from when he gets Aghanim Scepter, got nerfed a slight bit as well. But yeah, I don't think most of those balance changes are going to make a difference for anything that's going to happen tonight, because I don't think we're going to see most of those heroes. But the important thing is that there was some heroes removed from Captain's Mode, and 5 of them have been put back in. I believe there's 6 that were removed. So Lone Druid, Winter Wyvern, Doom, Faceless Void, and Death Prophet were removed, and I think Ricky was removed as well. So the first 5 I mentioned, Lone Druid, Winter Wyvern, Doom, Faceless Void, and Death Prophet, are back in the pool. As for Ricky, he's still on the outside looking in, hoping that that change to him is going to pan out sometime down the line. But that's where we stand right now. Let's get into talking a little bit more about this game in particular, where we're going to have Shazam going up against Slayer of Gods. As they took a long time to get the first ban in from Slayers of Gods. You can see they only have 8 seconds left in their reserve time. So I was a little late to jump into to the draft, but we're here now. So let's get into it. We've got Shazam banning out Gyrocopter, Tusk, Rasta, the Shadow Shaman, and Night Stalker. And the bans for Slayer of Gods, Doom, Slardar, Undying, and Bane. The picks: Shazam picked up Darkseer, Invoker, Wisp, and Bristleback. Slayer of Gods went a little bit of a different route. They went with Magnus, Juggernaut, Pudge, and Nyx Assassin. So there's a lot of scary heroes on the side of Slayer of Gods, and I realize any hero can be played to the point where they're scary, but Pudge, he can just hook you out of nowhere sometimes. Nyx Assassin pops out of Invis, does a ton of damage to you. Now they're adding another one on, Disruptor, glimpses you back. And all of a sudden you're across the map when you might not have expected to. Then Juggernaut comes running out of the fog at you, and you start slashing with the Omni Slash. Magnus jumps out, gets a huge RP on you. And on top of that, he can just give Empower to the Juggernaut, so he's going to do a ton of damage when he gets on you, and he's got that additional cleave as well. So I'm already liking Slayer of Gods lineup, but Shazam, they're a slightly different lineup. They've already picked up their 3 cores, Darkseer, Invoker, and Bristleback. We've got the Wisp, which we assume is going to be paired with the Bristle. But interesting to note is that they've already got the Darkseer, so that's, you would assume, in the off lane, Invoker mid and Bristle safe. But they might choose to put the Invoker safe lane and put the Bristleback mid. I think that would work well for their lineup going up against Slayer. As for our final 2 bans, we had Oracle banned out by Slayer of Gods and Viper banned out by Shazam. I do want to note that the first ban coming out from Slayer of Gods was that Doom, so newly added back into Captain's Mode, and everyone's decided, you know what, screw this hero. It was first banned before, they made some changes to it, and we still think it's overpowered. So ban that out, don't have to worry about it. And Shazam taking a good amount of time here to determine which one of their last heroes, the support hero, they are going to go with. It should be a position 4. Well, I I struggled to say position 4 because Wisp is one of those weird heroes. He's kind of... He's very supporty, but at the same time he's played a lot more like a 4. He needs his items early up,
5
and
seconds
he doesn't
remaining.
do some of the early game warding. So you're going to get like you're going to get kind of a hero that can play a hybrid, like a 4-5, to fill the gap that's not Wisp. And they choose to go with the Witch Doctor. So tonight should be an interesting night. We had some good games in the group stage. I'm struggling to remember what happened between these two teams, though, when they first met. I can quickly cheat and look here. So Shazam took the series when they played. So Shazam won, beat Slayer of Gods when they played. I was just waiting for everyone to select their heroes here.
10 seconds remaining.
I could have sworn when we were on the draft screen,
5 seconds remaining.
one of the Ritsus was actually, their name was actually Mason. But apparently they have switched back, so just to be a pain. But it's 686, so we're getting pauses right off the start. Hopefully we'll be able to jump on into the game shortly. We're just going to adjust some settings here. A little bit more. There we go. All right. Unfortunately, I haven't. I got to play a bunch of 686 in the first couple of days, but I didn't get to play any last night. So I haven't. I'm not fresh on the 686 train, but haven't gotten anywhere near as many games as I'd like to get in. But hopefully, I'll get in some games tonight. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying 686. I know a lot of people are liking it so far, although it's pretty different. But we do have this game to cover, so we're going to get another pause. But let's just actually go ahead and introduce the teams and the players. On our Radiant side, we're going to have Slayers of Gods. They were going by Arctic earlier in the tournament. We've got Schofield playing their Magnus. Their Disruptor is going to be played by Vulcan. M is going to be playing the Nyx Assassin. Van is going to be playing the Juggernaut. And we got the stand-in X111. He's going to be playing the Pudge. As for the Dire side, we've got Team Shazam. Ritsu is going to be playing the Bristleback. MSS is going to be on the Wisp, aka the IO. XSVG is going to be on the Witch Doctor. Brax is going to be on the Darkseer. And the other Ritsu, which is actually Mason. I checked. Also, VAC ban on record, just saying. Cheaty Weedy is Mason. He's going to be playing the Invoker. We see Shazam invading the Radiant jungle here just to get an Observer Ward up. And they are able to do so, but they are met by the Radiant side, and the Radiant also getting an Observer Ward up to spot down the lane. As we may have a battle here. My goodness, I can't speak already. For Bottom Rune and Pudge. Terrible time to disconnect. Question mark getting dropped in chat, which is a little questionable considering the Pudge clearly DC'd. But hopefully they'll be able to reconnect and will actually be able to play the game. There we go. So, obviously Ziori is actually doing the main casting for Moonduck tonight. So no Mott, just Ziori, and I think he had Slacks on as well with him. If I recall that, I believe Slacks was doing the analytical stuff, which is well, that would be interesting. But looks like we've got a reconnect here, and yeah, we should be set to go. But yeah, just Joker confirming that indeed Mason is the Invoker, which we already knew, because I did my research. I checked it up. I looked. Uno momento, por favor, says Brax. Well, he didn't say por favor. But we will be actually able to cast this game soon. Soon, I hope. Yeah, we've got 3 games on the schedule for tonight. We're gonna have, of course, this game, Slayer of Gods versus Shazam, and then our next game is gonna be Shazam versus Not Today, and our final game will be Slayer of Gods versus Not Today. So that should be exciting. And when it's all said and done, we would like to see 2 teams advance out of that, so we can get further down the order in terms of the tournament and get closer and closer to our grand finals. But there is the event where we could have every team end up with 1 win, and then we've got another tiebreak, which I don't actually know the rules on that. I'm gonna have to look that up after this game if there is a tiebreak rule. But unfortunately, we are waiting on Shazam now. But I can actually quickly try and look up our rules. I remember the rules from last year weren't exactly the best in terms of how they were written. So it says, if there is a tie at the end of the event, a head-to-head tiebreaker will occur between the teams. Each match will be a best of 1 until 2 teams advance. So that's what we know. And then there's a second part. If a tie is... Whoa, we got a cast. I'll get back to that in a second. Hook, oh, just barely going to be a little bit short, almost reaching Mason and pulling that Invoker back to the Radiant side. But nope, not gonna happen. As for our top rune was picked up by Magnus, so the bounty runes were split. But I'll finish reading that rule real quickly, as we've got if a tie still is in place, yes, it says that, after the tiebreaker matches, then overall time differential, and look off the mark, then overall time differential in all matches will be the deciding factor. So I have no idea what that means. I believe that was exactly the same rule that was in last time, but it doesn't really clarify at all. So I guess if it comes down to that, I'll just have to see what Dota 2 Canada Cup has to say about it, and we'll just go with whatever their ruling is. But let's hop into this game. That's 3 games down the line. Let's hop into this one and really focus on this. As we've got Juggernaut, Pudge, and Disruptor going in the bottom lane here up against an aggressive tri-lane of Bristleback, Wisp, and Witch Doctor. Mid lane, that leaves Magnus going up against Invoker. In the top lane, we're going to have the Nyx Assassin going up against the Darkseer. This bottom lane is going to be quite interesting, as we're actually going to have a Witch Doctor stun come out and stun up the Pudge. But Kinetic Field is there from Vulcan to prevent any kind of further aggression coming out from Shazam. But this bottom lane should be exciting. If Pudge manages to land a hook, then there could be a hero on the side of Shazam in trouble, but they do have the Wisp, the Tether, able to heal someone up pretty quickly. We will actually have a hook here as SVG has been hit, but X11, or X111, excuse me, is going to have to back away because he's sitting on very, very low HP, and he doesn't have any way to get his health back up. He's got no regen, just started with boots first. There's Vulcan tricking the Dire side here, as he's going to try and make a move for bottom rune. It's double damage. Is he going to go for it? He is, but I think this is going to mean that he is dead to right, since he's actually going to buy out his items. And now he's going to stand at Roche. And, oh, really well played there. So, what happened is Vulcan was waiting in the Roche pit, and he said, you know what, if you guys hit me, then I'm going to hit Roche, and I'm going to get Roche to deny me. But the guys on the side of Shazam said, we know exactly what's going to happen here. We know that our 2 attacks can't kill you. That Roche will be able to finish you off before we get our next attack in. So we'll attack Roche Roche will come out, attack you, and then we'll both attack you. Hook from X111 onto Ritsu. Is going to pull the bristleback back, but I think the Pudge just gave a good initiation to the bristleback, as he's just going to feed on the back of that one. Not really sure what that play was, but that Pudge is going to need to get some HP regen if he expects to play in this bottom lane, as he was down around 200 HP and then hooked in a bristleback with considerably more than 200 HP, and becomes a little bit of a feed. Now, Shazam off to an early start, sitting at 2-0 right now. It's, all the action's been in this bottom lane. We take a look at the last hits in the top left to get an idea of what's going on in the top. In the mid lanes, as we've got Invoker dominating. Oh, hook off the mark. We've got Invoker and Darkseer actually both dominating in their lanes, both sitting at 23 CS. As we're going to have a charge forward here from Ritsu, MSS, and SVG. As they're going to go on Van, they're going to find the kill. And I don't think they're going to dive here, and I might be completely wrong. Nope, they're going to back away. As Pudge hook just a little too short again. Glimpse going to bring back SVG, as they'll try to get their first kill of the game, and it looks like they will, as the Witch Doctor is going to go down. It will cost them their Pudge and maybe the Disruptor as well, as I expect the Bristle to dive on this one. As Vulcan, not one more hit from anything pretty much, and that's going to be a Quill Spray coming out from Ritsu, as he gets a triple kill. As this bottom lane is going to be a complete disaster for Slayer of Gods unless something turns around. We've got Schofield rotating down here, trying to help out, trying to get a kill for them, trying to bring them back in this lane, as Pudge misses another hook. As now Schofield's going to go down, as Ritsu's just going to dive the tower on him. MSS actually throws out the last attack to finish him off. And now Vulcan's going to start the chase. 10 seconds cooldown on Glimpse. Hook will find Wisp this time. So X111 will get a kill. Now Van going to go grab the bottom rune. He's going to get a haste. That means he should be able to chase down Ritsu. They need to be careful of the Quill Sprays. Taking too much damage, too many stacks. As they're going to go after the Bristle. The Pudge was thinking about going for a hook there, but not going for his Van spinning. He's trying to bring down the Bristle back, and he will. And then X111, I think he was actually going for the hook on the Bristle, but he catches Van, brings him back, and it looks like he almost saved the Juggernaut. But one auto attack was out from Mason on the Invoker, and that finds its target. Top lane, M just got a kill onto Brax. So we didn't see exactly how that happened, but Vendetta wasn't used. But obviously there was some action up here. SVG was up here as well. Maybe there was a dive. Witch Doctor stun going to come through as M's in trouble. We'll pop the Spike Carapace. One more attack? No, not going to happen. Now Vulcan TP's on up here. He's going to actually glimpse Brax all the way back to his tier 1 tower. As Vulcan's going to get the trap off on SVG, but Brax is just going to dive the tower here and get a kill onto Vulcan. As Vulcan's trying to juke around the trees, but he's not going to be able to escape. M just having enough, able to get his stun off, but not choosing to throw it out there, as Ritsu was diving in the bottom lane. And he's lost a lot of HP, but he's got MSS, his neighborhood friendly Wisp, to heal himself back up. So things not going too well, as we've got all 3 cores on the side of Slayers, sitting at 22 CS. And Shazam, they've got their Bristleback on 22 CS, but on top of that, he's got 4 kills and 2 assists. 1 death, but 4 kills and 2 assists. And then the other 2 are quite a bit ahead, the Invoker and the Darkseer. Both in the 30 club, Invoker almost breaking that 40. This Pudge gonna go for a wraparound, and we have another disconnect. As unfortunately we saw a lot of disconnects in Group D when we were in the group stage. Before these tiebreakers, we saw a lot of disconnects, and it was a little bit frustrating, as both Slayers and Not Today kept disconnecting. But hopefully we will have this cured, and we won't have to deal with constantly players disconnecting. But unfortunately, it is what it is, and we have to wait for these players to reconnect. But this Pudge pick, this roaming Pudge, or I think it was intended to be a roaming Pudge, but it never really ended up roaming around. It's starting to roam now, but in the laning phase, it was just not working out for them. They didn't have any kill potential. You've got a Disruptor and a Pudge, which are both quite weak in terms of tri-lane versus tri-lane, especially when there's nothing to really complement the Disruptor. Both those heroes don't really work together, or aren't as strong together as some of the other more typical pairings that we'd see in tri-lanes. And both of them actually work well with Jug, though. They're both heroes that are able to control spaces and basically affect your positioning. And Jug likes to capitalize on that. He's also strong against slows. And both Hook and Kinetic Field are essentially slows or ways to displace your hero. Hook isn't really a slow. Neither of them are really slows, but they lock your hero down, allowing the spin to do more damage. But here we go. M is in the Vendetta. He's looking for a target here. He's going to find SVG. He's going to hit the Vendetta hit off, the stun, the mana burn, but MSS.
Heads up!
The heals coming out from the Wisp, just too good. Just too good. M's going to have to run back to his tier 1 tower. Vulcan's coming on in, as he's going to drop a Sentry Ward, and they're going to counter up the Observer Ward that M just watched SVG place before he opened up on him with the Vendetta. And they really are going to have to find some pickoffs here. It's got to be the Pudge finding some pickoffs, which it hasn't worked out for him at all. Or maybe it's the Nyx Assassin finding pickoffs. Or maybe they have to just soak, get their levels, get 6, and then capitalize on a dive with a big Disruptor ult. That could work too. But something's got to change, because Shazam right now are just dominating the play. As M will pick up the bottom rune, it's going to be a bounty. But now he's got 3 heroes on him. He's going to get a nice 2-man impale. Hook's going to bring in the Witch Doctor and kill him with that damage. As now, Slayers, they're looking pretty good to find some kills here. They get the Wisp, and now they're going to go after the Bristleback, who will juke and avoid the Kinetic Field. Hook from Pudge will land on the Nyx Assassin. As now they're just going to back. They're not going to be able to get the kill on that Bristleback, but Pudge just... It's been a rough game for him. It's been a rough game. We saw him get a hook off to kill the Witch Doctor off at bottom rune there, but the target was stunned. You expect him to hit a hook in that situation. But it seems like all of his other hooks have just been a little bit behind, a little bit slow. So I don't know if that's maybe a factor to do with a little bit of lag.
Is under attack.
As unfortunately some of these South American players, they have to play with a little bit higher pings as a result of how the internet is routed between what country they're from and where they are in South America and the US East servers, as I believe that's what we're playing on
bottom
this
tower
game.
Is under attack.
Gonna have a bottom tier 1 push coming up from Shazam. Of course, Fortify is going to be used, but this tower will go down shortly after that wears off. Mason's starting to make a rotation down to the bottom to group up with his team and be with them. But I don't think we're going to see any kind of defense coming up from Slayer of Gods, and we don't. Mason's gone with the Midas for the Invoker, really standard. We've got Ritsu. I'm guessing this is going to be a Vanguard, which looks like. We've got a hook in the mid lane that's going to bring back the Darks here, but Brax just surges himself and runs back. He was thinking about going back to the tower, but he's got to take the other path, and then he's trying to juke, but the stun is there from M as Brax actually jukes right back into it. Hook will bring back MSS. He's already used his tether, but here comes Mason with the Tornado. Now the EMP. Will the EMP hit anyone? It's going to hit Pudge, who will dismember MSS, but not be able to get the damage off, or not be able to keep the channel going for too long, as the stun comes out from M, but it's dodged by MSS as he uses the tether, and then after a little bit of right clicks, we will lose the Nyx Assassin as well, but Ritsu's in trouble in the bottom lane, and he'll get finished off by Omni Slash. So what was that? A 2-for-2 show fight recap is not going to help us, I believe. What do we had? We had
middle tower is under attack.
We had Brax go down, and we had Ritsu go down.
Sting you for that.
And then we had, in the mid lane, we had the Pudge go down, and we had M on the Nyx Assassin go down. So yeah, 2-for-2. which I think's got to be an advantage for Slayers, based on how the early game has gone. Volvo, not really sure what he's complaining about. I guess because he hooked a catapult. I don't know. So he's gonna hook again, but unfortunately be off the mark. Glimpse gonna bring them back. EMP is going to force them to spread out a little bit, but the Disruptor's gonna go down now. Relocate will block Pudge's retreat if he was gonna go that way, but now he just runs the other way, and they're gonna dive the tower for him, and he is surely gonna be dead as he goes down. Schofield wants to help out, but doesn't really have anything. He uses RP. I'm not sure when that was, but it's been on cooldown for a bit, so I don't know. I don't know when that was popped, but M looking for an opening to come in from behind, but he doesn't realize he's sitting almost directly on top of a sentry, and just as he walks out of the sentry, MSS comes rotating on in. They had vision of him before MSS went there because they've got an observer ward in the mid lane. Tornado is going to catch M, who will get a stun off, but it's just going to hit Mason. But it doesn't look like they're going to be able to have enough follow-up to lock down that Nyx Assassin. Pudge goes for another hook. Hooks just have not been on point this game. But we are starting to see a lot of action. Slayers have made sure to rotate their lanes, and now we're going to have a hook, but just barely off once again. As we've got a split battle here. Tornado EMP is actually not going to land on anyone, but it has done a good job of splitting Slayers. And that's isolate the Disruptor and the Nyx Assassin, which will both go down. Pudge will finally land a hook, but this is not the time for a hook as Pudge is going to go down as Ritsu gets another kill.
Radiant's top tower is
As
under
3
attack.
heroes dead on the side of Slayers. The only one left alive that's still in the mid lane is Schofield, who was going to get dove on by Mason and MSS. But this is a pretty healthy Magnus, who will have Skewer up in 2 seconds, but he's not going to be able to use it. It's a lot of damage coming out. The cold snap combined with the alacrity and the wisp balls flying around. That just dropped the Magnus. Meanwhile, the Juggernaut's been farming up in the top lane. Van doesn't really have too much, though. He's sitting on 2,800 gold, so he does have the potential to buy an item soon. But I'm not sure 2,800 gold is enough to pick up an item that's going to bring his team back in this game. As right now, Shazam is just running all over them. Switch on over to our net worth and see where we all stand. That Jug, with all that farming, is sitting in second place, but it's Mason on top with almost 7,900 net worth. A lot of that is thanks to the Midas, but he also smashed his mid lane, so he's got that going for him as well. But he's picked up a drums as well as his phase boots. As we've seen a lot of smokes come out, they haven't really worked out for either team. But Slayer's going to try to find one here as M is leading the way, but he is in Vendetta. He's not smoked. Imagine he was smoked to start. And will he be able to get the stun off? He will. So it's going to land on Mason, but the Wisp is there. Vulcan is going to trap that Invoker in, but no, Force Staff is there. He will glimpse him back. Tornado flies, but it's not going to find any targets. Now we're going to have a Schofield blink on it and get a decent RP, but there's absolutely no follow-up. It was just too late. Kinetic Field now won't help the Disruptor escape. Van trying to run for his life, but Death Ward brings him down. Now the Pudge going into the trees. He's going to go down. M, the only one left alive, will be able to TP back to the safety of his fountain. But Shazam, in complete control of this game. Another huge gold swing going their way. 2,700 gold going their way. And let's take a quick look at our gold graph, and you can see it's been Shazam all game long from the very start in their favor. It stalled out a little bit as we saw a lot of rotations happening, but no real kills happen. And then we saw that that moment where we had a fight in the mid lane and in the bottom lane, which ended up a 2 for 2. And that was around there. And then right after that, it's just been all Shazam. And the last fight, very, very one-sided. And on top of that, they're going to be able to take Roche here. And XP looks pretty similar as well. As M going to try to Vendetta sneak on in, but he runs right over a Sentry Ward as Shazam collects another kill before getting this Roshan. Slayers they just haven't been coordinated. They were coordinated. They're all rushing through their jungle, going with the Nyx Assassin. He didn't get the Vendetta hit off. He had to lead with the stun, which was good. And then they kind of had the follow-up from the Disruptor, but then the
Dire's
Force Staff
top
came
tower
out
is under attack.
from Mason, excuse me, who just picked up the Force Staff as well. It had just flown into him. So up until like 30 seconds earlier, he didn't have a Force Staff, so that would have been great for them. But he did have the Force Staff on him at the time, and he was able to Force Staff out of that kinetic field, which meant the Static Storm wasn't able to lock him down. He was able to get a Tornado off, although it didn't hit anyone, but still, the Force Staff put him in a position where he was able to be safe and kind of back to his team until the Glimpse brought him back. And that just bought enough time for Shazam to kind of regroup and screw their heads back on and just re-engage properly. Tornado will find the Disruptor this time, kinetic field, but dead Raptor. As M still stalking around, but he's over top of a Sentry Ward once again. As the Nyx Assassin takes another fall.
Is under attack.
It looks like our first game of the night might actually be a quick one, as this is looking very, very one-sided. As Mason's actually sitting at 7-0-9 on the Invoker.
Radiant's middle tower
8-2-9 for Ritsu on the Bristleback.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
But it's not just them. Both supports have a lot of assists. They've been really involved as well. Brax has kind of been the most silent out of them. But it's a Darkseer. It takes a little bit to kind of get going on that hero. He's great in lane, and certainly Brax did well in his lane this time around. He did get picked off once though, but it takes a little bit to get your items up. We'll see what Brax has right now. He's got his Arcanes, his mech, and the Courier's flying in his Blink Dagger right now. So now he's going to be able to get those good vacuum walls off. As he's now up to level 11, so he's got 4 points into vacuum. Still level 1 wall, because you typically pick that up at 12. Going with the 2 points in Surge build. But he'll look to get a little bit more involved. 3, 2, and 5 certainly isn't the worst record, but he definitely hasn't been as involved in the fights as his teammates. And his record is suffering a little bit from that. But you take a look at the net worth, and he's third behind 2 of his teammates. So he's still doing quite well for himself. And certainly, as we see potential to start pushing uphill now in the next couple moments, we'll see whether or not he'll be able to make those big plays and help his team just kind of run all over Slayers that they've been doing all game long. And if they're able to do that, then it should be pretty easy for them to claim a set of racks. Now, they may not push uphill here. They've already got the tier 2 in the mid lane, but there is still the tier 2 in the bottom lane and in the top lane, which the top lane is quite healthy because the tier 1 is actually still up in the top lane. But they might actually go down and take one of these other towers. Top isn't really ideal. They'd like to come up here and maybe stop the Juggernaut. Maybe they'll do that. They back here, go up top, force the Juggernaut back, which he'll probably TP down to the bottom lane and farm up down here, and then rotate into the jungle, and then they'll be able to push the top lane and not have to worry about the Jug coming on up. And they might even be able to keep running with that and go for the tier 2. So that's probably going to be their thought process there. They might actually just even say, you know what, we are way ahead right now. What is the gold graph saying? We're 12,000 gold ahead. Now, they're not going to know that value, but they're going to know roughly how well they feel like they're doing. And certainly with a score of 23-9, they should feel like they're very much in control. Every fight recently has gone in their favor. So they may just feel like, you know what, we can probably take an early set of racks here and feel pretty comfortable with fighting. But Slayer of Gods, they do have team fight potential to bring them back in. If there is a big RP followed up by a Static Storm from the Disruptor, that could just bring down a bunch of heroes. And then Nyx could potentially get a stun on top of that. Jug could come in, get a good Omni Slash off. He's 11. He doesn't really have a lot of damage. He's still working towards completing that Battle Fury, which he's almost got done. But he won't quite be able to do enough damage. He might even be able to spin on that. That might even be more damage for him. I'm not sure what the theory crafting is, but he's coming, and he has actually just reconnected into the game. So hopefully we will have a resumption here as the G gets called from the Pudge, G from Mason. As here we go, we're going to resume and see what Shazam's going to do, and they're probably going to back here. and head towards the top lane. As Brack's going to do a little bit of farming in the jungle. Actually, he's going to go to the bottom lane, put some pressure on down there. And Shazam actually not going up to the top lane. They're going for the bottom tier too. Part of what this is doing is they're just acknowledging the fact that the Jug is up there. They acknowledge the fact that if they go up to the top lane, Jug is just going to TP to the bottom, and he's going to get farm anyways. In fact, he's going to TP now because he's going to try to defend with his team. As his team's smoked up, they're going to try to wrap around from above. Will Slayers be able to do it? They need to have a big team fight ultimates. And look at how spread out Shazam is. We're going to have an engage here. Pudge going to go for the hook, but he's going to miss everyone on the enemy team. And instead, he's going to catch M, which is just going to bring him right into a wall vacuum. And it is a complete disaster. As Slayer of Gods are falling apart all over the place. Pudge actually having to eat a creep to heal himself back up. He left Decay on, which was a little questionable. But, or Rot, whatever it's called. So he was actually taking damage while eating the creep and not healing up. But he goes down. The only one left alive is the Juggernaut, as Van managed to escape. He didn't even pop his ultimate though.
Radiant structures are fortified.
As now Shazam will look to take that high ground, bring down this tier 3 and go for their first set of racks. But look at these respawn timers. Everyone on the side of Slayer of Gods is almost respawned. We just have 6 more seconds before the Magnus is going to be up.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
the tier 3 will fall.
Bottom tower has fallen.
Shazam just needs to make sure that they play good positional Dota. There still is RP available. And Static Storm as well. Kinetic Field will try to isolate the Bristleback from his team. But it's so difficult for Slayers to engage here. Tornado will land on the Disruptor. EMP, will he burn his mana? No, the Disruptor able to get far enough away, but Pudge just getting run over by Ritsu as he's going to bring down the Disruptor as well. As Van spinning and TPing and M going down, it's triple kill and GG will get called. As this was a very one-sided affair. The only reason it kind of took us as long as it did is because we had so many disconnects. So I don't know if that was a factor for Slayer of Gods, whether they were playing with some lag or maybe just network stability issues or, well, issues, if they were a problem for them. But Shazam will take the first game of the night, so they're off to a good start in this tiebreak. If they win their next game, then I think that's it. I don't even know if we're going to have a third game if Shazam wins their next game up against Not Today. Because that would make sure that they finish second in the group. Or actually, excuse me, we will definitely have another game. What am I saying? We've got 2 teams to advance here, not one. Not one. So Shazam, if they win their next game, then they will definitely advance to the next round and finish first in the group. And then it'll come down to Slayers versus Not Today in our final match to determine which of those 2 will advance. But Not Today, they obviously want to get a win in their next game so that they have the potential to advance with 2 wins. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. We've got another game coming up in another 20 minutes now before our next game is scheduled to start, as it's going to be starting at 8:45 Eastern. So we'll be back in about 20 minutes. I'll be hanging out in the chat and chatting with you guys if anyone's hanging around. But yeah, 20 minutes, and we'll be back with Shazam versus Not Today. Once again, guys, I was Niz. Hopefully you're enjoying the cast so far, although we didn't get to see anything new with 686B, or even really too much new from 686. We got to see the Pudge, so I guess that's new, and a little bit of Bristleback getting played, but he wasn't really touched in terms of balance changes. Yeah, maybe we'll get to see a little bit more of that in our game in about 20 minutes' time. But yeah, I'm going to throw it to music, and we'll be back in... well, those 20 minutes for our next game.